Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript party and my buddy Rhett back there. It is 8:21 a.m. and it is absolutely beautiful outside. I'm guessing it's probably right at like 75 degrees Fahrenheit. I think we're at like 95% moon tonight. Oh, so according to my oops, weather thing here. Oh, that was so weird because it says Chrome is being automated, controlled by automated. We have got 67 degrees, feels like 74. Air quality of 47, which apparently is green, which is good. Got a little bit of wind, 90% humidity, so we're down. That'll probably be good news for my wife. High humidity kind of slows things down. Yeah, I'm getting an ad for headphones now. Basically, what I am would love to do because I keep my headphones on my computer all day, but it hurts my ears, so I don't want to have my headphones on my ears all day. But like we have this software called Ring Central, and it gets very confused if you change your USB devices from your headphones to speakers, or if you unplug your headphones, it gets very confused. It doesn't like that at all. So I decided I want like sort of some kind of thing that I can sort of have sitting here and it's connected to speakers and my headphones. And so when I take off my headphones, I can flip it and then the speakers, then it's using the speakers and the computer never knows that I switched from one to the other. And then, like if I get a phone call back or something. So the problem is with the headphones, sometimes like either an email will come in or somebody will send something via Ring Central. It does a little bing, and if my headphones aren't on, I can't hear it, and it makes me to appear to be non-responsive, which I guess I am non-responsive, but it also probably makes it appear that I'm not at my computer. So yeah, and apparently for some reason it's decided that I need a hair straightener or a hair dryer. Don't know, from Best Buy. I think Best Buy really missed the match on that, but I don't know. I guess a lot of times I'm on here and my hair is just like everywhere. So, like that's actually quite crazy if they literally saw a phone somehow did an analysis of my actual image and did that, and then yeah, I guess they could tell I'm getting older and that I might. That I probably don't have a DUI and that they might be able to save me money on my car insurance. So that's interesting. Um, oh well. So yesterday, in yesterday's video, we got we got all of the specs running and they're all returning 100%. And then if we go and we look at when I ran this test, I ran it with the coverage flag. So, oh, okay. So I do have one that doesn't have an expectation. Um, it's a warning, so I need to get that one squared away. Um, and it's app component temp test for animation. Okay, and I called it temp test because I um, because we don't really expect animations to be around forever. But anyways, when it ran, let's see if we can see it up here. I added dash watch, which will keep it just watching and rerunning whenever I make changes, and dash code coverage. And because this dash code coverage was there, then it generated coverage, a coverage website is I guess what you'd call it, but it's so, and you could take this index HTML and you could just drag it over here, and so you could see that at this point my parents would be very proud of me because they would see that I got perfect scores in everything. That's just sort of an attack or sort of a slowly trying to kind of wean myself off of this by acknowledging this sort of early manipulation sort of conditioning that uh, was applied to me as a child to make me think that these scores really, really matter. But it does indicate that um, everything is covered. So that's good, right? So I think step one is like getting all your unit tests to pass, and that's good. And then looking at this little thing and look for any muted ones, and there aren't any, so that's good. I guess that's first. And then second, to look in here and make sure that all your tests, none of them are like throwing off weird warnings or console logs or anything. Say I have this log continue, so I would like that to be gone. So let's go ahead and find that. So I know I could search on that word and find it. Continue. Okay, so that actually got me to the test that doesn't have. So what we would expect. So I think I've another thing that I kind of just started doing was I came to the conclusion that everything should probably return a a something, whether it's true or false. And this morning I was kind of thinking through it, and it was like, yeah, that actually does make sense because, okay, so just returning true or something isn't going to be any better. Well, it is a little slightly better than a void, but um, if you have to actually, if you're willing to sit down and think, what does true mean? What does false mean? And all that, then you're probably likely, as a side effect, going to um, um, you're very, very likely going to return a you're likely to write better code. I guess that's what I wanted to. So this returns just a hard coded true, and this is all temp code. Although I do think this actually is better than we had before, but instead of modulus, I probably would be better if I told it to take the renderer ID um, and told it which one of these to do. Maybe like an array or something that had a list of things that, like this object here, um, um, mesh rotation, x, infinite, and continuous. I don't know what the 0 is for. Um, and then I don't know what the 0.05. I think 0.05 is how often it updates. So it'd be kind of cool, like if instead of modules, I pass this thing on, which then that's kind of cool because then I would be able to have more control over this, and that's probably something I want to go. But anyways, this also returns a true or a false, and I just hardcore return true. But maybe it would be better if it returned a true if the renderer exists, and a false if it doesn't. And then we could even add code in here that says if renderer exists, then do this stuff. See, and look, that is way better. That's actually much better code, and then return true or false if the renderer existed. Now, like I said, all of this code is kind of garbage code, but yeah, it would probably be better to. Yeah, it's all garbage code that needs to be written, but that just the fact of going through the um, mental process of saying, exercise of saying, okay, what is true? What is false? What is success? What is failure? What information does this thing have that might be interested to a caller in the future, right? I'm just going to leave it at true because, like I said, all this is throwaway code anyways, but I do want to keep that little piece of that little nugget. So now, again, speaking of garbage codes, this whole thing is garbage code too, but we're just going to say const result equals, and we know that that is going to be a Boolean. And again, I don't think that makes any difference at all, but like anything you could do to lower that um, confusion. So is worth doing because like confusion is truly the enemy in today's world. I think. I don't think like I was saying that it's the enemy of in the world in as for developers like you're gonna be confused, that's guaranteed, so anything you can do to sort of take the weight of confusion off, the better. But I don't. The more I think about it, the more I think that this is actually a world problem. Like anyone who lives in our society, everything you do can get confusing, and then the minute you start getting confusing, you start kind of becoming like a cornered animal, and you start becoming extremely unpredictable, and life gets extremely really chaotic for you, and you start doing things that you would never do. It's just that you're very very confused. So so we are expecting the result, and we're going to say to be true because we actually expect it to be true. If this were ever become a number or something like yesterday, it would become we would then switch over to truthy or maybe greater than 0 or something like that. But anyway, so now our problem of yeah, see now all we get is a nice clean 71. So that's number 2. So I used to have 1 was make sure all these are right. 2 is make sure this is at 100%, but now it's actually 2, make sure this is nice and clean. Number 3, now we go through these individually. So we have an app component.ts. So what we want to do is we want to go to app component.ts. And I think the easiest way to do that is hit Control P and type in app.component.ts is the second one up there. And then go to this view here, and right next to it should be the spec. And then we want to do a focus on this. And if you do a lot of unit testing, F probably stands for something different in your head. So I don't think my camera is dirty, but it might be. It's just that the way the sun is coming in. Yeah, I think that is a little better. But yeah, so I think for about 2 minutes probably we're going to have a weird little light here on the side. So it only ran 4 tests, and we still have 100. Oh, well, we haven't reloaded. We still have 100%, which makes sense because that was the last one we worked on. So then we hit S. We get our nice clean results. We can go back to here. And it used to like visibly, when I would see something like this, it would actually visibly cause a very negative reaction internally in my body. And I know it's 100% because of like getting in trouble for bad grades for school. Because, you know, I hate to admit it, but I always had bad grades in school. So now we want to go to app menu component.ts. I'll just copy that. Control P, Control V. And this is like where you end up with like a million file tabs open. So let me close all my others. Let's go to my spec. Let's come up here. And we'll put our focus indicator there. Hit reload. And I guess we can just watch the, oh no, we can't because it only it tells us the overall. So that's good. That's what we want. We want this to be 100%. And then like so I'm kind of like zombieing through this right now. Not really definitely thinking through everything, but so now we have 2 of them to do. We have viz component.ts and viz service.ts. So what? Okay, that's weird. That was strange. Actually, I can't wait to watch that in the video when I watch this back. Um, so let's describe this. Let's focus on this one. And so basically we want to go into here. We want to hit reload. So yeah, so Viz component is not running everything, which is kind of a bummer because this just probably blew my whole idea of getting to work on having a new 3-minute, hey, welcome, this is my latest Cypress tests for Sunday. Now, it would be interesting to do one during the week anyways, like snap one out. It only takes me a couple minutes to make them, and then just kind of snap one out, and then maybe next Thursday or something and put it on LinkedIn. But let's see, where are we on time? We 8:37. We have plenty of time. We need to figure out. So these two should be super simple, right? Is initialized, like we can run that and expect a false back. Set is initialized. We can run that and expect to get a true back. And those are done. The ng after init is probably going to be a pain to do. So yeah, let's head on down this path. So basically right now we have, it should initialize. And it's kind of weird that set as initialized is not run because we run it right there. Okay, what did I do? Oh, I must have done the service spec. So maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. I do think we are missing. So I was in the wrong one. So describe. Hello. Hello, Rhett. First I was alone. So good job. Good job, Marty. Actually makes me feel good that I, like sometimes, I mean, it's nice when that almost completely validates that I'm doing that right. Well, wait a second. Maybe not. No, I think that was. Okay, so yeah, so I must have already went through this process. So maybe we're still on track to make. Okay, so now I did 100. Now we're going to do this one. Okay. And we will okay, so and now we're not in Viz service anymore. We're in Viz component. And that is 100, it looks like. Yeah. So when we just did Viz service, it had 100. When we just did Viz component, it did 100. We got 100. So we did Viz. Now animations is next. Should get 100 because we did everything. And now animation service did not change at all, so I don't think we'll have any issues. It's a shame. Maybe they do have like a way to tell it to run like each suite on its own. But I think I'm being weird. Okay, I mean that's just a reality. Okay, so it did not. Okay, there we go. 100. Back over here. App model service. And I guess we can go straight to the spec. We can just go straight there and type F. We can hit save. We see this number fall to under 100. should reload in 100. Back to all files. Camera service.ts. Control copy. Now that one absolutely should never have broken. I mean, we probably would be perfectly fine to skip this one because there's just, it seems like it is absolutely implausible that anything, we got 100% last time. So it is implausible that we wouldn't have got 100% this time. And all files, camera service, geometry, ST geometry service, Control Z, Control P, Control V. And see, we are starting to get faster, right? Like now I know, oh, okay, I see the spec under there. I can go straight to there. And that is kind of like what they're talking about when they talk about in Agile, where they're like, oh, your velocity goes up as the team starts to get better and everyone starts, like little things like that. Like we're like down to a third the speed. I think I'm not a big fan of Agile. And I think the thing I don't like about Agile, it's taken me forever to figure it out, to put my finger on what I don't like about Agile. But the thing I don't like about Agile is I believe that it really takes your eye off the ball. So like there used to be these commercials where they would show, like they were a credit card commercial and they were like, every time you spend $1 or some money on your credit card, then you get credits, which then you transfer to tokens, which then you transfer to points, which then you transfer. Right? I think like we all want to see, that looks good. We all want to see like what you want to know is how much money you're getting, right? Like that's what all that stuff's about, is how much money are you getting? Or maybe it's like how much stuff you're getting. Like I know that my daughter, she travels a lot. So if she uses certain services, then she gets to upgrade everywhere. So she gets to stay in nicer rooms or ride on nicer airplanes or get a better Uber or something like that. I just kind of made up that last one. But I almost feel like this might be faster too, just to go. Maybe not, because now I'm confused. Services, mesh. Okay, so that's this guy right here. Okay, so this is the one, ST renderer, we care about next. Yeah, but see the problem, okay, it's faster to do it this way, I think, because you can copy this right here. But, like, we want to know when you're using those kinds of things. I think the point of the commercial was that we want to know what we're getting. And we don't want to have to try to do the conversion in our head. Well, the thing that Agile seems to try really hard to do is get you to where you ST render. And that is crazy. Just from this one, all of these get called. And I guess it makes sense because render sits at the top and then they have things underneath it. So now let's go to this scene. But we want to think about things in the way that they're in what we're getting. So like if, I'm going to go do this class and I'm going to weigh less. I'm going to do this and I'm going to, but like sometimes you'll go to like a gym and then they're like, no, never look at your weight. You should always look at some other thing, right? And then it'll be like, yeah, that's because they don't want you to actually judge them. ST scene. Okay, that was already right. They don't want you to actually judge them based on their actual performance. They would like you to take your eye off the ball. It's like if I go to a gym and I'm paying a lot of money to participate in something, I want to see results. I want to see the scale go down on there, or I want to see like maybe I fit in my pants better or something like that. But I actually want a measurable result, um, and I feel like Agile does the opposite of that. So ST service scene. So cameras next. Um, and I think that what happens is that so that's the same thing with Agile. I think they want to take your eye off the ball. So there's two camera things, and this is camera service. If I remember correctly, the difference between if there's an ST, if there's not an ST there, then that means that it interacts directly with ThreeJS. And if there is an ST, then it's my uh, imagined way of describing what I want on a visual or what I want on the screen. Um, so I'm curious. After ST camera service, okay, so now we're getting to the point where everything's more like only stays in its own lane. That visualization tests everything because it holds everything. Um, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Um, I'm really hope. I think it's looking like we're going to be done with this today. So I would love to get that done. And I like that I've further sort of pounded in my head the difference between ST and non-ST, things like that. That's all good. That all makes sense. It still makes sense even after having worked on some stuff a little bit longer. So that's good. I understand why visual like that's something that I constantly forget, that the scene is not the top thing. It's the visualization. It's the renderer that's the top. Okay, material. Now, was all this is this something that you want to do in a professional environment? I don't know. Maybe. Just depends. It depends on your situation. Um, like I used to know this guy who I used to work with him, and he told me that he had worked in a situation where every single day they would get locked into a safe. Like there'd be like 100 developers, 200 developers would show up at the front, and then would break down into these little suites. They'd break off into little areas, and then they would break off into these little suites, and then inside the little suite. So that looks good. Inside each little suite, there was three like safes, big safes, and then you'd go into the big safe, and then after you went into the big safe, uh, they would uh, they would lock you in there, and then um, they would give you a little test, and or they would give you a little like a small bit of code to write. Um, it would be like make an array that has an object that has this in it that does that. I don't know. He didn't give object oriented wasn't a big thing back then, so that's not a good. That probably wouldn't have been something they got, but they would get like these little code things, and then the only feedback. And he says it would take you literally 2 minutes to write it, maybe 5 minutes tops, and then you would get an hour. You'd just sit there for an hour, and then you'd get either a green light or a red light, and all that meant, if it was green, all it meant was that your solution was selected. Or sometimes everybody would get a red light. Like if you got a red light and then you got the same question again, then that meant that they weren't happy with your. Let's see. Okay, I think I kind of screwed up there. What I want to do is go back and see what the next one is, and it'll get lost in there. Um, Tree render. Um, so you would either, and that was that. And so in that situation, yeah, it takes you 5 minutes to write the code, and then it takes them an hour to determine if you we have a new dog, and he's sort of he's a puppy, he's probably 6 to 9 months old, and he's interacting with our old 15-year-old dog, and I'm a little bit on edge on whether I want to protect the old dog from the new dog if something happens. um, and our old dog was at the groomer yesterday, and so our new dog was laying where the old dog likes to lay. So now the old dog is laying back down, and the new dog is just watching. Um, so I just want to make sure that the new dog does not do something crazy with the old dog. So you got to watch out for the olds. And you know what? I say that a lot more now that I'm becoming one of the olds. Um, Control P, Control V, ST service spec. I think maybe when I was younger, I would have been like, everybody watch out for themselves. You're on your own. But honestly, like, the olds bring a lot of value that you don't necessarily recognize when you're young. And that's why I guess the middles, I probably started kind of thinking, oh, you should really watch out for the olds when I was probably about 40 years old. And based on who watches the numbers that I get from YouTube, most of the people that watch are very young. So almost everybody's between 25 and 35, and then about 10% are from 15 to 25 age group. There we go. We're almost done. If I remember. Okay, so there's just, yeah. Neither of these are new at all, so I'm not even going to do that one. There's just no way. Now, app visualization service, I don't think we made any changes, but let's go ahead and do that one. I know we didn't do any. Let's go back. Sorry. All right. Hash service. F describe. Like, I think if you can meet an older person, like if you meet a 90-year-old that is functioning really well, like, it's the physical aspects of it are pretty impressive, right? But that's not really the impressive part. I think the really impressive part is the fact that, like, they can interact in the world, and because the world is so freaking different, it changes so much every few years that, like, anyone who has the mental plasticity, there is flexible enough to still be functioning after, like, the changes, the way things have changed. Like, I mean, like, if you were to go back to 1970 and you were to look at software developers, basically your goal was to know every single thing there was to know about a language, to be the absolute expert, to be able to say, oh yeah, no, that weird bug happens because the way they do memory allocation and blah, 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 blah. And then, but then when you're today, I found that the most valuable skill that people can have to be a successful developer today is the ability to change from one language to another seamlessly. So, and to be able to, just like pick up a whole new, like what they're calling vibe coding now, where you don't really have to understand exactly what you can go with very very little knowledge. You can get a lot done. That seems to be the most useful skill today. And it just always changes. And it's just one of those things that you're going to have to and so it's like literally the whole world is just turned exactly on its head, and I'm pretty sure it's going to do that again. And so anybody who can kind of move through all those different extremes in the way society does things is someone you probably can learn something from. It's just the reality of things. But anyways, we have conquered all of the unit tests work. We don't have any weird things in here and all that. So tomorrow we'll start with end-to-end testing. It is 8:56, so I have to start work in 4 minutes. So happy coding, everybody. Bye.